Welcome back to Timmy, Johnny, and Spike.
Returning guest and stand-in Timmy, Philip.
I'm Eric. I'm Johnny.
And I'm Cody, and I'm a Spike.
And we're here to talk about Magic the Gathering and not be too critical on it, because we all make mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Like, you made a mistake.
I did. I made a horrible mistake today.
You said Mystic Remora was something, and it's definitely not that. It's
so
Mystic Confluence.
When we were talking about Masters 25, specifically, there's a point in the conversation where I spoke about cumulative upkeep and talked about Mystic Remora as a bad card. What I meant to say was Thought Lash is a bad card until comboed with Zedru. Mystic Remora, pretty okay. My bad.
Yeah. We also made a mistake and recorded it the day before Dominaria spoilers dropped.
Which, once again, following with Magic 25.
Boy.
Oh, man. Why are we like this?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Legends.
Legendary.
Truly, truly legendary. So today, we're going to talk about Dominaria a lot. We have a couple Dominaria experts that probably won't join us on this podcast because this is just going to be talking about cards. Mm-hmm. But Dominaria doesn't come out for another month.
Right.
So, the next podcast, we'll probably delve into the cards that have been spoiled past that and then get into Dominaria lore and what this means for the franchise players who have been here through Dominaria since Ice Age. Because I didn't start back then. I started in Alara. Mm-hmm. And other than the Weatherlight crew and their cheeky shenanigans, I don't know much about Dominaria.
The only 4 cards that I remember from being a thing about Dominaria happens to be Cataclysm. And the reason I remember Cataclysm so much is because every time Cataclysm got resolved against me, I felt a small single tear roll down my face.
Yeah.
Because I had a 28-card win con when I first started playing Magic, 28-card win con, also known as all the creatures in my deck.
Yep.
Turning thing I know about Dominaria is what everybody else keeps saying so misty-eyed about Dominaria.
They got those rose-colored glasses, which...
Those Jaya-colored glasses.
Jaya-colored glasses.
Everybody was like, the Weatherlight, and I was like, what is that?
What is the Weatherlight? Is that a boat? Is that a space boat? It goes through the multiverse.
Apparently, it's a time boat.
I mean, we already have a time boat, but one got blowed up. What? One is Karn. One is Venzer, who is also blowed up.
What if the Weatherlight gets reprinted as a vehicle?
What? No. What would it do? Like, you got to think about. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second before we actually dive in. So the Weatherlight would be a mythic, legendary artifact vehicle. Crew, tap an untapped planeswalker you control. When it attacks, which is a 5/6 flyer, when it attacks, target planeswalker, either A, return target planeswalker from your graveyard, or put a planeswalker from your hand into play with 1 loyalty counter.
I would assume that it would be a Crew 8/05 that whenever it attacks you, exile at the end of turn, you get an extra turn.
I had assumed.
Hold up!
I thought it'd be a 5/5 crew, like Crew 3 for 5. When it attacks, destroy target permanent.
Alright. Destroy target permanent.
Just legacy weapon something.
Sure, why not?
Fuck it.
The Gatewatch needs a Justice Tower to fly around it and be better than everyone else.
So they need a vehicle.
Oh my god, whenever it attacks, phase out all your permanents.
Do not bring phasing into this. We literally just played a 2-hour
game that took forever because of phasing.
To be fair,
never bring back
I
phasing.
scooped before phasing started.
Yeah, you were the smart one. I don't like to lose.
Yay! Yay!
Damn it.
So we're going to put a pin... No, actually, we're going to finish this Weatherlight vehicle thing because... Hold up.
Why not?
Imagine, if you will, a boat that just legacy weapons something every time it swings as a 0/5. Why Crew 8, out of curiosity? Just a number, or...
I said Crew 5.
It's gotta be ridiculous.
Or Crew 3.
And
Make it like a Consulate Skygate.
Okay.
My Crew 8 was on get an extra turn.
Okay. I must have lost myself somewhere in the middle.
I think I said 5-drop 5/5 Crew 3. Mm-hmm. When it attacks, destroy a target permanent.
Yeah.
That seems fair, right?
Seems like a
Mythic,
fair
legendary.
card.
That's basically Consulate Skygate, except for a little better.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, everything's better than Consulate Skygate, though.
I mean,
to be
sounds
fair,
like
everything's
Sky
better than
Sovereign.
Consulate. What's that?
Sounds like Sky Sovereign.
That's what I meant.
What if they steal the Sky Sovereign? They go back to Kaladesh and just take it and run.
It's the new Leatherlight.
So, I will apologize as I make a mistake and say Skygate because I pretty much only draft.
That's fine.
And that was the 0-4 Defender that I took a lot of to
Zero.
stop stupid vehicles like Renegade Freighter. I have fucking war flashbacks against Renegade Freighter.
0-4 Flyer.
I mean, Renegade Freighter, though, was called Runaway Train for a reason, and every time they resolved it, it was always against you, and you never saw a single one, even in the 3 packs you opened.
Yeah,
Every
typically.
time.
You know what's worse? That's a common.
Yeah. Choo-choo.
Beep beep.
I picked it all the time.
You have no reason not to.
All
It
the
was
time.
what, a
I picked
3-drop
that.
crew 1?
Renegade Freighter is a crew 2, 4/3 that whenever it attacks, it gains +1/+1 and trample. So it's literally
It is
just a 5/4 trample.
A 3-drop 5/4 trample with crew 2, which, haha, linking it in, brings us to Dominaria with this ridiculous 3-drop 5/4 can't be blocked by 2 creatures power 2 or less.
All right, so
I linked it. I've done it.
you've come together. We've done it. Full circle.
The True Master.
The True Master, we are peaking. I need to lean back.
Oh boy.
All right.
So you said 3-drop Game Ender?
Yeah, so...
It's a triple green 5/4 that can't be blocked by weenies, which is basically fear.
So
Like-
we're talking about the return of Mono Green Stompy.
Oh my god.
I don't want that.
You can turn for a Carnage Tyrant. Because they're reprinting Land of Worlds.
That's beautiful. And Lifecrafter's Bestiary is just even better there.
I still wouldn't play it because I would rather turn 3 like a Rekindling Phoenix.
You're not turn 30, you're turn 2ing it.
Ha. Do you guys want to play Saberling Tribal? I want to play Saberling Tribal.
I don't want to play Saproling Tribal. I want to play Large Tree Tribal.
Thalids.
They're not... Verdant Force doesn't make Thalids.
But I wanted to make Thalids.
Tendershoot Dryad and Verdant Force both make Saberlings on each upkeep.
Ooh.
One of them's a 5-drop, one of them's a 7-drop, or 8-drop, but what does mana mean in this current format? When you have a 1-drop Mana Dork and a 2-drop Mana Dork, and they're going to settle you into your 8th land. You cannot tell me they're not going to settle the wreckage you into your 8th land.
I mean, if they're in white, they definitely are.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking that I'm glad Fumigate is still in the format. Fumigate will still be in Standard.
Yeah, so we'll settle the wreckage.
I mean, if I'm going to settle the wreckage, Green Stompy, I'm asking to immediately lose the following turn. Because they're like, I have 8 lands, because I had 3 Llanowar Elves, a Carnage Tyrant, 2 of these triple green 5/4 non-weenies, and you settled me, because if you didn't, you would die. So now I'm just going to resolve the other Carnage Tyrant in my hand, proc Lifecrafter's Bestiary, draw off of that, and then immediately resolve... Verdant Gearhulk and put the counters on both of them.
Yeah, Verder
And
is
that's
Gearhulk.
why you need the Bestiary. Because you're going to blow your load.
That's fair. You're going to run out of cards real quick.
Real quick.
You know what's still
Play
in the
Rishkar's expertise.
You know
Oh, no.
what's still in the format? Rishkar. Rishkar is still in the format. So you play him,
God.
put green on your other dudes, and you blow your load on your entire hand. Once you've dropped your entire hand,
Turn 4.
you still get the ability to scry off of Bestiary, paying additional green to get a free card draw. And if you're feeling particularly frisky, you have access to Explore in mono green to give you additional counters, meaning Rishkar is free to spread his counters across the plains like his Mana Seed.
Don't say Mana Seed again.
Did you
That's
just
dirty.
manages?
Mana Blow Your Load? Yeah.
We've already made a few innuendos in the last 5 minutes, so...
Are they reprinting Thorn Elemental?
Yes.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Richard Garfield.
Alright, magic the way Richard Garfield intended.
Magic as though he meant it to be.
Yeah, so I said when I saw the Llanowar War reprint, I'm going to windmill slam green-red monsters faster than anything I've ever done in my life.
You should.
Yeah.
You have access to a turn 2 Rekindling Phoenix at that rate, provided
It's turn 3.
Yeah, you
Turn
drop,
3 Phoenix, turn 4 Tyrant.
Yeah, you go turn 1 Llanowar Elf green, Rootbound Crag, 3 Llanowar Elf again, Rishkar?
Drover of the Mighty.
Yeah, Drover the Mighty, and then Rekindling Phoenix.
Yeah.
Following turn.
Then Phoenix, then Carnage Tyrant. Rishkar's Expertise, draw 7, play a free 5-drop.
Any particular reason why you wouldn't just do like a modified green-red dinos? Because you still have Otepec Huntmaster as well as all of the other elves that make dinos cheaper, and it's faster to get to them.
So the only other dino I would want would be Ripjaw Raptor and Register Alpha.
Okay.
Given those, you have those at Drover of the Mighty and Llanowar Elf. Llanowar Elf is better than Otepec Huntmaster.
Right.
Because Register Alpha gives you haste already. And without that dino lock-in, other than Drover making it a 3/3 so you can swing on turn 2 for no fucking reason, that frees you up to play things like Rekindling Phoenix, because it will still be the same mana cost. And you don't have to worry about making dinos cheaper. There's a green-red monster shell that's out that's kind of sweeping the nation. But,
And the other reason is you still need spaces for things like Multani. You have him as Avatar.
Yeah? That's true.
4 green for a legendary creature. Reach Trample. It gets +1/+1 for each land you control, and each land in your card in your graveyard. 0/0. Pay 1 in a green, return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand, and then you turn it from your graveyard to your hand.
yeah.
Just what Mono Green Stompy needs. A recursive monster.
I mean, honestly, you're still going to be playing a couple red cards like a Braid and...
Wizard Lightning.
Yeah, Wizard Lightning. So you're going to play the red removal suite and then a couple green cards like Rishkar's Expertise to put 7 cards in your hand and then play a free 5-drop.
Sure.
Why aren't people doing that?
For everybody at home listening, he had an actual brain moment of his eyes got real wide and then real mad very suddenly.
He's about to go make a standard deck.
I am. That hurts me.
All right, well, time to go make standard decks, everybody. Bye. That's the end of the episode.
It's the end of it. Good luck. I'm off to the shop. So, with stuff like that, Otepec Huntmaster doesn't cheapen those spells.
Yeah.
Whereas Drover the Mighty still pays for them.
Fair enough.
And you don't want to run 4 of 3 different mana dorks, especially when one mana dork doesn't make anything cheaper except for like 3 spells.
Okay. Do you think it's more... So then you're saying it's more efficient to just run the monster shell as opposed to the dino variant?
Yes.
Okay.
So, getting into Dominaria spoilers again. I had to talk about this 3 green for a 5/4 because that's dumb.
Uh-huh. And it's a rare.
It's not. Or yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is a rare.
It is a confirmed rare.
I would like to, first off, get into the Planeswalkers, because that's what people are probably going to lose their shit over. To put it lightly. There's Karn, Scion of Urza, which is a 4-drop legendary Planeswalker. He's a Karn Planeswalker. Not like a Jace.
Colorless?
Colorless, yeah. Comes in with 5. And I think the reason he comes in with 5 is because he doesn't have a true ultimate.
Right.
He has a +1, which is reveal the top 2 cards. An opponent chooses one to put in your hand, and then you exile the other one with a silver counter. His -1 is put a card that has a silver counter on it into your hand. So you eventually get both anyway. They're just probably going to give you the land, and then you have to pay for the good thing.
Right.
More of a Fact or Fiction sort of thing than anything. And honestly, Fact or Fiction's never been bad. We had a Jace that had that ability, and that was still fine. And then his
Architect of Thoughts.
Architect of Thought, there you go. And then his -2 is make a 0/0 colorless constructs token with this creature. It gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, and it is an artifact itself.
So it'll always be a 1/1, no matter what.
It'll always be a 1/1, and the more you make, the more they get.
Right. Which isn't too terribly that bad, especially seeing as Kaladesh will still be in the format. That's not bad.
Yeah.
You make a lot of servos, Karn allows you to make a huge.
There's treasures in the format. You can still make treasures.
Right, as well.
I've seen and heard of a lot of people freaking out about his first 2 abilities, but I think inarguably his third ability is the strongest because we still have massive treasure generation in the format.
Right.
I currently have a standard Metalwork Colossus deck. So there's definitely enough artifacts.
There's still plenty of enough artifacts, seeing as that Kaladesh will still be in the format. With that in mind, you still have total artifacts we have available. You have, just in the tokens, treasures, servos.
Ethereum cells.
Ethereum cells caused by Tezzeret. You still have Tezzeret's mastery as well, and Tezzeret himself, allowing you to make his, like you said, his cells. You have access to improvise, can utilize these creatures. Mm-hmm. You can also utilize these with there was just improvise. I think actually is the only real mechanic that can fully utilize these without getting larger.
There's the flip artifacts that are pretty prevalent. That I think, like Maze of Ith, Thematic Compass,
Primal Amulet, and
Treasure Map. I probably wouldn't play Primal Amulet because that's too much for what it does.
Do you think that we will see, in that case, Black-White Servo Revolt come back with Karn, mostly?
With, like, hidden stockpile?
Correct.
I'm ready for it.
Oh, yeah. That'd be dope. Mm-hmm. That'd be super dope.
Little backstory. I took that deck to Grand Prix and did not so bad with it.
Yeah, good job.
Right, so we're all pretty on board with Karn. I think Karn's pretty alright. I don't think he's overpowered by any means, but I think he's pretty good. Mm-hmm. We'll go next to... Let's go to Teferi, because he's next on the list.
I have words about Teferi.
Oh, whoops.
Most of which are... So way back in Scars of Mirrodin, there was a walker whose name was Venter Sojourner.
Yeah.
And let's go over Teferi's abilities, and I will... I'll go. Alright, then I will. So Teferi is a 3, 1 white, and 1 blue legendary planeswalker who happens to also be Teferi type. His +1 is to draw a card, and at the beginning of your end step, untap 2 lands, which is draw a card, proc negate.
Draw a card, put mana up for counterspell.
Right. -3, put target non-land super condemn, put it third from the bottom.
The third from the top.
I like bottom. Can we change it to bottom?
No. Fuck you.
Top.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to try and sneak in my own walker abilities. And then finally, -8. You get an emblem that says whenever you draw a card and exile target permanent and opponent controls. This is true of each time you would draw an individual card. So I want y'all to realize that we are in a format with a card called Azor the Lawbringer, who, when he swings, he Sphinx's Revelations. And for those of you who didn't play in Return to Ravnica, Sphinx's Revelation is is an instant in which you pay X and draw X cards and draw X life.
It's two blue, a white, and X.
Correct.
Draw X cards, gain X life.
Correct.
Which
Azor
means that also, if you ulted Teferi, exile X permanent.
Correct.
Not exile X non-land permanent. Just permanent.
Just permanent.
I am going to exile your entire board, including your lands.
I'm going to choose your lands first and your big guys.
We'll do a slight pump on the brakes on the hype train.
Yes.
Him alone is exile 2 permanents per turn if you ult him without killing him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're correct.
No.
And the only... Don't worry, we'll get to that.
That's what the flavor text on his card says is no.
So
I didn't play with Annihilator, and I don't ever want to.
Well,
This
that's
is worse than
super
Annihilator.
unfortunate, because it's not Annihilator. You don't get to choose, I do!
Yeah, Annihilator was mercy because you got to choose. Ulting Venser meant that you didn't get to choose and your lands went first.
If you ultimate Teferi, he becomes the lead singer of Saliva. Click, click, boom. You don't have that anymore. You gotta be kidding me. So...
and he's a 5-drop, but he's actually only a 3-drop because you plus him and untap 2 lands.
That's correct. So he does only come in with 4 loyalty counters, which means on the turn he comes out, he will have 5 loyalty, which,
Whatever,
as
fine.
I've been immediately... You seem upset. I've
seen this song and dance before. I don't want this.
You'll already have a 5/4 out for 2 turns.
That's true.
I mean, that is true.
That's super true.
Yeah, so... let's put the pump, let's downshift for a moment. So, Teferi is very clearly the type of walker that belongs in a mid-range or primarily a heavy control spell, probably mostly focusing on Azorius as well as potentially Esper. You may get away with him with Mardu. However, I think he's got to find...
What do you mean Mardu? Mardu doesn't blue in it.
I'm not
Bant?
Not Bant. The red one. Jeskai.
There you go.
I'm having a day.
Fuck.
Or the Jeskai shell. So, the only reason I find him not super great, and why, despite the fact that the inner control player in me is having a heyday, I've been here before because Narset existed.
I successfully killed a lot of Narsets.
I successfully sideboarded Narset out. So
I don't care if
All
you're
right.
killer. I'm just trying to rebound one spell.
So here's something I've compiled, which is things you can do with Teferi's extra 2 mana.
I would like to go over this list as well.
Negate is probably the problem.
That's the big one.
Essence Scatter is still in the format.
No.
Jeskai Shell, Harness Lightning.
Harness Lightning, yeah, you can do that. Abrade. Abrade's good. Censor.
Cycling,
You can cycle.
which draws a card.
No!
Philip, you seem upset.
Philip, do you want to talk about it where the cycling touched you? You alright? Did it touch you right in your broken heart?
Shock. Magma Spray.
Yeah, any burn spells if you're playing red. What are some prevalent white things you can do?
I almost said Declaration in Stone, but that's not in Standard anymore, so
And
thank
it's a
God.
sorcery. Because this happens on your end step, so you can walk away instance with it.
Right. Right.
I think that's... I can't think of any prevalent white instance
Not
on 1 or 2. Unless you have 2 mana otherwise, then you can still flash cast out or settle. So if you play them on turn 7, that leaves up settle mana or cast out mana.
Mm-hmm. I think most relevant will be the part that you can have 2 mana up for a counter spell with Censor or Negate. And more relevantly, you have Cycle mana open. And that's the part I think is more important, because it gives you way more freedom of choice from turn 5 forward.
If you play them with black, there's a new black instant in Dominaria that is destroy target non-legendary permanent or creature. Destroy target non-legendary creature. 1 in a black instant.
More specific, go for the throat.
Kind of Doomblade.
Go for the Mook, if you would.
Yeah. There's a Seal Away, which is being printed in Dominaria, which is 1 in a white, flash enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target tapped creature until it leaves the battlefield.
Right.
So you O-ring something for 2 with flash, as long as it's tapped.
Right. So Teferi belongs pretty much in the shell that can fully utilize any form of card draw, any control shell that cares about reactive plays as opposed to active plays. So we're going to see a standard that if Teferi is utilized, we have a lot more reactive plays, which means a lot more cautious playing.
Here's another white instant that is kind of dumb in this Teferi situation, which is 1 white for Healing Grace.
Yeah.
Healing Grace is an instant that says prevent the next 3 damage that would be dealt to any target this turn.
Yep.
By the source of your choice, you gain 3 life.
Yep. You fully negate damage of anything 6
everything
or less.
Sucks.
Oh, you got Sanguine Sacrament.
That costs X, Philip.
It's still 2 CMC.
That's fair. Fine.
You can still cast it for X is 0.
Oh my God forbid you have things on the board to already protect this thing.
So, we're on board with Teferi, or is it just me on board with Teferi?
Fuck you. Like, I'm on board with Teferi, but that's just because I know I'm going to be frustrated constantly.
I want to say I've waited a long time for some really solid control shell cards, but I say that every single set, and 9 times out of 10 I'm wrong. So I'm going to reserve my judgment for Teferi until I actually see him in the format being played.
You can play white-blue control. Play,
Second Son?
Yeah.
I tried playing Approach when Amonkhet first came out, and I had a fun time doing it. Like, it was exactly what I wanted to do, but I needed cards that now exist, like Settle the Wreckage, and I haven't played since then.
Settle is basically all the deck needed.
Yeah.
and now it's running rampant with the only thing killing it is going to turn 4 red.
Yeah, my preferred style of play is reactive control as opposed to aggressive styles of control, and Teferi supports that for me.
But what you have supporting Teferi is the option for Jeskai Walkers with Jaya Bellard.
No one's going to play Jaya Ballard.
Are you?
Why not?
All right. Let's explain the card first.
Jeskai Control would do fine with Jaya.
You're wrong, and I'm going to explain why mathematically.
Well, there's a legendary creature that might actually make that viable.
Anyways.
That's true. I know what you're talking about.
2 and red for legendary planeswalker Jaya. Comes in with 5 loyalty. +1, add red to your mana pool, which they removed mana pool from the rules, so it doesn't say that anymore. It just says add red mana symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Spend this mana only to cast instants or sorcery spells. Also, +1, discard up to 3 cards, then draw that many cards. Then, -8, you get an emblem. You may cast instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard if that card is cast. That way, you put the graveyard exile instead.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's dig into this one.
I'm going to start, before we dig deep, I'm on board with this Jeskai idea. Don't worry, I'm with you. Carry on.
How are you going to splash triple red?
You're going to ask me how to splash triple red when we have both Innistrad lands and the normal check lands?
We don't have Innistrad lands.
We have them coming out.
Oh,
we have the
original Innistrad.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like the reveal lands from Shadows. Those aren't standard.
We have all 10 of them in the format.
Yeah, we have all 10 check lands in the format. Plus the cycling lands. So you could, in theory, splash for Jaya Ballard.
I will give in theory.
Why would you?
Well, Philip, why would we?
Because I like casting things from my graveyard.
Well, alright, well.
I love casting things from my graveyard. Also, +1, get 3 extra mana. Cast instants and sorceries with it. You're in Jeskai Control. That's all you really want to do anyway.
Yeah, but how many times are you doing it on your turn?
I know that I'm supposed to be being the spike right now, but there's a card that I want to talk about that actually this could work, which is Indomitable Creativity.
What?
Do you not know Indomitable Creativity?
No, I know what it does. Triple red X. What is it? Sacrifice or destroy X target creatures or enchantments and polymorph. Artifacts. X target creatures or artifacts, and then polymorph all of them into the next thing.
Uh-huh. You play a deck. Now stay with me.
All right.
You play a deck. Let's say you have a Metalwork Colossus in your deck, several of them, and you play a bunch of, just a bunch of bullshit tokens that are artifacts. You can Indomitable Creativity your 4 tokens and turn them into 4 Metalwork Colossi. The rest of your deck is just standard blue-red spells. Or Verdant, or the Red Gear Hulk.
Do it with Pia's Revelation.
Uh-huh.
Whenever an artifact goes to your graveyard, pay 3 that goes to your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that Torch of Defiance will still be in standard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Flashing 3 red is not going to be that hard.
Or just play Chandra Torch of Defiance. It's better.
I didn't say not play them both.
Well, honestly...
So, here are my issues with Jaya Ballard.
Mm-hmm.
Triple red is hard. Like, even with the lands we have and the lands we're getting, that is still hard.
It's debatable.
If you're mono red, it's not hard. Fine, whatever.
It's still debatable.
Adding triple red to cast instants or sorceries only.
Okay.
That is fine if you're doing a bunch of 3-drops, stuff like that. But I feel like that's pretty restrictive when Chandra lets you spend that mana for literally anything.
Yeah, that's fair. In exchange, though, you're getting 1 more mana, which allows you to cast up to a free 3 cast?
On the next turn, you have 5 free mana.
If you're playing both.
You're probably going to be playing both, though.
If you're playing...
I don't think you would play both. I think you would just play Chandra.
I don't know. I mean, even if we take out the part where... Let's pretend that for whatever reason, Jaya's only... Like, let's say the adding red mana was a minus. Let's ignore the first +1 for a minute, and let's just go to the part where she lets you do a mega loot. Okay? So, in a late game wherein you're gonna not want to draw lands or other garbage, having the...
Scavenge. Rummage.
Whatever.
Because we're discarding first.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, we're rummaging, right? We get a mega rummage. We go to a garage sale, we go through their stuff, and we throw away our mountains. Yeah. So, in red, you would splash both. And the reason you would do so is Chandra allows you to float 2 off of 2 mana you can just tap. And then on top of that, you use Jaya's other +1 to throw away the garbage lands in your hand, especially when you don't want them playing any form of red. Mm-hmm. You don't need them. You need gas. So Jaya's ability in the later or the early late game or the middle part of the game, the ability to throw away lands and potentially pick up good stuff with Chandra's extra 2 red mana, taking pressure off your land base, pretty good. Like, that's good on its own. Any late game ability to draw cards in some fashion that lets you not worry about holding on to useless crap is always good.
Which, alright, so you are correct. In theory. I have yet to find a reason to play Jaya with Chandra Torch of Defiance. There are tons of other things that could go in Jaya's spot that are just stoned better.
Okay. Like?
Rekindling Phoenix. Hazoret.
Well, if we're going to be playing Hazoret, we're probably going to stop at 4 anyway.
So, are we saying in Jeskai or in Mono Red?
No, we're
Where are we putting
specifically
in...
about Jeskai control.
Yeah, I thought
specifically in Jeskai control.
Any Jeskai mid-range, Jeskai control. If we're talking about red aggro, no, we stop at 4.
In Jeskai.
We try to get out of 4, actually.
No Jaya.
Yeah.
I would like to see 1 Jaya sideboard for red aggro. How many spells do you have? 3!
What?
They're all abrades.
Maybe if you're trying to do some weird mono-red burn control.
Alright. For Jeskai control. You already, I assume, have Chandra.
Right.
Do you have Teferi?
Well...
We just talked about the combination being pretty good together.
So yeah, we'll do Teferi.
That's probably a 5 slot.
Yeah.
You're playing a pretty high curve with like Fumigates and Settle Wreckage. Those are 5s. Those both
Settles
cost,
are 4.
Settles 4, but they both cost double weight.
Right.
Chandra's 4. She costs double red.
Yep.
You have Jaya at 5.
Okay.
You're playing a control deck, which is going to have a problem when they start playing creatures. Like this dumb 5/4 we keep talking about.
We'll get to him.
When is turn 5 Jaya honestly going to do you any good?
Turn 5 Jaya would be right after you've taken the game after casting something like Fumigate or Settle. If you cast Settle the Wreckage against a aggressive aggro deck, you're asking to probably lose in the following turn. But if you have access to Fumigate, which if we have Torch of Defiance, we do, you have access to Fumigate on turn 5. So realistically, I'm going to Fumigate before I play Jack, because I want to steal the tempo from my opponent, who in this hypothetical scenario most likely has the creature advantage on me, allowing me to keep both Chandra and Teferi in play, provided somehow my opponent didn't kill them. Let's say, for the sake of argument, I've had ways to keep them off.
Sure.
For the sake of this discussion.
Sure.
Honestly, objectively, even taking out all my hype for Jaya, I would not play her till about turn 6 or 7, when I'm going to close the game because I'm going to Ultimate Teferi first before I rummage. Because at that point, her other +1 allows me to cycle through my hand and remove target threats.
So, can I offer a different thing?
Sure.
The Locust God is on 6 in red-blue.
Yeah.
He also gives you a benefit for drawing.
Yeah.
And he has a draw mechanic built in.
Mm-hmm.
That you can put mana into or whatever.
I mean, that is fair. I suppose if we put Locust God in the equation, he does take over that Jaya slot.
And
Easier
then
to cast.
He also finishes by himself.
Right. Easier to cast. Maybe, yeah. I could see that.
Alright, so other than Locust God, another 6-drop that probably does part of Jaya's job is Torrential Gearhulk.
Yeah, alright.
Which would get you back your Settle the Wreckage or point removal or something from the graveyard that you need at that instant. Mm-hmm. Torrential Gearhulk will also finish the game. You've seen a theme here that Jaya doesn't do.
She doesn't specifically finish the game, and I understand that. But Jaya left unchecked is a threat that can't be left on the battlefield, which you can do partially with Torrential Gear Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a 1/1 will block it. Can't really do that with the Locust guy because that fucker does a lot of mean shit.
Buzz.
But I still like Jaya and a Locust God in the same deck. Because +1, generate 3 Bs.
That's assuming... Well, I mean, if you're playing Control, you probably have some cards in your hand. And if you're Cody, they're all lands. But
So
every
you
time.
discard them. And
Every
you get
time.
3 Bs out of
and
it.
then you get 3 more lands.
But I got 3 Bs.
Yeah, so... Locust guy.
Together.
I don't know. I wouldn't play Jaya. I don't think she's good enough for a slot. Like,
Would you say that she's a good one of, at least? I wouldn't say that even, like I said with the hype, I wouldn't put her as a multiple copies
I'm
walker.
not talking about 4. And 2, honestly, would still be pushing it.
I'd keep her as a one of.
I might have 1 in the board if I'm feeling frisky.
Which board?
The sideboard.
Okay.
So I'd rather have her in the main and then pull her out if I need something else.
I would rather have something else in the main board and then put her in if she does a specific job with a specific set of skills that I need at that current moment.
I love living the dream, though.
I know you do.
Yeah, I will say taking out the hype of her. I would not put more than 1.
Alright. So now, that's the Planeswalkers we've gone through.
I mean, we could also just play the red Gear Hulk.
Yeah. So...
Combustible Gear Hulk. I was like, Fire Gear Hulk?
Well, yeah.
Hot Shot Gear Hulk? No.
Close.
Red Hammer Bro Gear Hulk.
Shit, you got there. We get to some consistent spells, which either haven't loaded on my screen for the black ones, or there are no black ones revealed yet. Could be both. So there's a set of legendary sorceries. Now, legendary sorcery may sound weird to you. That's because it is.
It should.
It's a new type of sorcery. Legendary sorceries can only be cast if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. So the white one is 4 and a white for Urza's Ruinous Blast. It says, exile all non-land permanents that are not legendary. You may only cast this... Legendary cards, you can only cast this if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker.
Right.
This won't hit everything.
Nope.
But I'll be damned if it doesn't set someone back.
Yeah, the ability to exile is infinitely more powerful than the ability to destroy. Just because some things just can't be destroyed. Like they either have indestructibility or some form of evasion that prevents destruction. The 1 in a green instant courage.
Heroic Intervention?
Yes, Heroic Intervention prevents destruction effects. That's why Settle the Wreckage is still infinitely better than Fumigate in many cases.
It doesn't even touch the planeswalkers, though.
That is correct.
Does not exile planeswalkers as they are legendary.
Yeah.
It also won't hit legendary creatures. So if your opponent plays legendary creatures, you're still kind of fucked.
Which is why a card like this, I would probably maintain in my sideboard until I know that they're not playing too many legendaries. When Dominaria comes out, people will be playing legendaries, but it's...
Until you know that they're not playing mono red. Because that's the only place this is really going to have a great sitting.
Yes, that's correct.
Or green.
The green monster... The
Carnage
green
Tyrant's not legendary.
The green monster shell, you get to keep Rishkar.
Alright. So we have a 5-drop exile a lot of creatures.
5-drop exile anything that isn't important.
Yeah.
Narratively strong.
We'll get to the next one.
The spikes?
Which
the
is...
spikes one?
Yeah. This one is nuts.
Spring.
This is Karn's Temporal Sundering. It is 4 and 2 blue.
It has the word temporal in it. I'm already in.
Yeah. 4 and 2 blue, so 6 mana for a legendary sorcery. Target player takes an extra turn. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn's Temporal Sundering.
I'm going to take an extra turn, bounce your big guy, my turn, throw this into the garbage because it's exiled. Activate Teferi.
You did it. You got him triggered.
You know what the worst part is? This does, in fact, come after Teferi.
Yeah, this is the next turn. The next turn, if Teferi sticks, is Teferi twice more.
I don't know, though. Honestly, I don't know if there's much to talk about this card.
It just take an extra turn, bounce a permanent.
Right, and
But you're going to bounce a permanent. That's
Right.
pretty strong on there.
Yeah, on 6. That's very good considering what was the last extra turn card we got? Temporal Trespass, which was 11.
Part the Water Veil, actually. Part the Water Veil.
Yeah, still
with
6.
Awaken. 6 is 6. Extra turn exiled itself, but did have the Awaken gimmick.
Didn't it also
9.
end the turn?
No.
It did not.
No, that was the other one.
You are thinking of
Yes.
Days Undoing.
There you go.
Doesn't end
So still 6. Still 6 to take
Oh,
an
it ends
extra
your turn, because it's sorcery.
So it is still 6 to take an extra turn, but now you have upside of bouncing something.
Right, which immediately blows the only other 6 cast with some similar style effect in Standard, which is Baral's Expertise.
Ha.
Which is...
It's a 5-drop.
Is Baral's 5? I'm
5.
thinking of
You think you're
Rishkars, which is 6.
That's 6.
Right.
So this is 6. You can bounce a non-land permanent, which means you can bounce like a cast out if there's a...
Which will have the ability to have its effect on your next turn.
You can reset the mirror matches to Fury.
You could reset that. You can honestly do whatever you want. I don't care.
Well, if you're going to check out, I'll talk about it. If you are having a triggering moment right now.
I want to get to the next one because this is the one I'm going to play.
Whoa, hold on. We don't have black because it's not spoiled yet.
We don't have
have black.
And let's save red for last because we know we're going to talk about it for a second.
So... There's nothing to talk about with Karn's Temporal Sundering. It's everything it says is written, what it does, and the only thing we have to say right now is it's Karn's Temporal Sundering. I'm going to take an extra turn after this one, bounce this, activate Teferi, pass, activate Teferi, play my thing, go. That's your turn. Or anything else you really want to do. If you're playing a Scarab God zombies, that actually closes the game. You go Temporal Sundering. You bounce something that blocked, swing it with your zombies, pass, make a new zombie, they lose life, swing again, they lose.
Yeah.
This card wins games.
Yep.
So.
Alright, you want to save the red one for last, Philip?
Yeah. So we'll
go to Kamal's Druid Vow, which I have a lot of fun with. This is 2 green and X, legendary sorcery. Look at the top X cards of your library, put any number of land cards and legendary permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield and the rest into your graveyard.
So this is Genesis Wave for legendary things.
Yeah, and lands.
Okay. Does Genesis Wave not hit lands?
Genesis Wave hits permanents.
Okay.
Genesis Wave is also kind of better than this.
A little bit.
Yeah, so Genesis Wave for important people.
Genesis Wave for people who have VIP passes.
Right. This is the express lane. This is the...
If you bought your tickets in advance, please get in this lane.
Yes.
On to Jaya's Emulating Inferno.
Yeah, so Jaya's Emulating Inferno is 2 red and X. Legendary sorcery. Deal X damage to up to 3 targets.
Which targets is a new ruling. A new rules wording that says that it can target a planeswalker, a player, or a creature.
Yes.
And this is in response to getting around the hexproof player clause, in which, in previous rules, if the player couldn't be targeted, you couldn't redirect damage.
Which was dumb.
So dumb.
To planeswalkers specifically.
Right, you couldn't redirect damage dealt to you from spells to walkers.
This also has some weird effects. Like, my favorite case is the Ruach Thar. Ruach Thar says whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Ruach Thar deals 6 damage to them.
Right.
Previously, in dumb things that shouldn't happen .deck, you could redirect that to planeswalkers.
Right.
Now you can't, because the planeswalker is not the defending player.
But I was just talking about making Ruach Thar.
That sucks.
That is super unfortunate for you, Philip.
It's still super fun, but the reason it used to be dumb was because you could redirect all of that damage anywhere you needed to go.
Yeah, it was one Primeval Titan of damage.
Yeah. Whenever you play a planeswalker, deal 6 damage to you, I'm going to redirect it to your planeswalker.
So, other than the fact that this hasn't got the new targets bit attached to it with Dominaria's launch.
Yeah.
This, however, to me is just a less complicated Comet Storm. It's a fireball, it's a less complicated Comet Storm. I'm not moved by this, and I'm trying very hard not to show my don't like red bias, but if we break it down, it's a less complicated Comet Storm.
Well, that's true. You still have to pay X and then an extra 1 for Comet Storm or Fireball for those things.
Right.
This is 2 and X and deal X damage to 3 things.
Yeah, less complicated target Comet Storm. You just get to do it.
Yeah, it's also more cost efficient.
Right, because you're not usually with Comet Storm and Fireball, you're not hitting more than 2.
So this, to me, is a mana sink in Is It Prowess type strategies. And
Jaya
me,
Ballard.
That makes me... Oh, no. Jaya Ballard, I'm already real happy about.
Okay.
Because I just want to run Is It Prowess all day long. And
right.
This just is a huge mana sink for it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaya gets you 3 there. Not to mention, in the future, she then allows you to get it back from the graveyard.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So there is one thing that struck me with draft.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this set of uncommons, or in one green case, rare.
Yes. The cycle,
the cycle of paying triple mana for something.
Right. I like to refer to these as the archetype cycle, because you have one is an anthem, one is a flyer.
An anthem.
One can fly.
One of them deals damage, and one of them's stupid.
Actually, I don't think that we know that the other 4 are uncommon yet.
Well, we don't know the black one. Once again, black one hasn't.
We are basing our opinions and what we're seeing in our hype based on what information is currently available.
So,
well, we do have a black one with 3 black. It's just not just 3 black.
No, it's further down, and we're going to have a long talk about why this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen since Helix Pinnacle.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Yeah, the first one is white. 3 white for a 3/3, and other creatures you control get +1/+1.
This is just good.
Yeah, that's just
plain good.
That's good. It is a human knight for 3. It is, and I'm gonna explain these all very quickly, and then get to why they're important.
Right. Sure.
So there's 3 blue for a 0/4 Jin with flying, and it gets +1/+0 for each basic island you control. Mm-hmm. Skip the black one.
The black one is a 3-cast something that does something. Next.
Yeah, sure. There's a 3-drop 3/3 Goblin Warrior with first strike, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. So it'll wipe a weenie board. And pretty much set it to, did you play on turn 3? If not, there's your board. And then the green one, which is the rare one currently, I don't know if black will be rare or not, which is the 3-drop 5/4 can't be blocked by a creature's power 2 or less. Which I think is bananas.
Alright.
The reason this is important is because in Limited, and in Standard to a point, mana fixing is hard. In Limited, it is very hard. So if there are going to be a cycle of uncommons, and for all we know, other cards that are being drafted that costs 3 of a single color, that is going to be hard to do and push people towards something that I haven't seen in a very long time, which is a monocolored draft.
From a constructed standpoint, though, this, with access to all of the ease of mana we have right now, it really does open these guys up to their respective strategies and the ability to play with different colors in them. For just because Benelish Marshall is triple white, he's got an Anthem effect attached to him, and it still means that you can go wide with green-white tokens in a way. You can still go wide with Naya or Bant artifacts, which... Karn. So the ability to play triple in Constructed isn't that bad. I mean, this is the same discussion we had with Jaya.
Yeah.
And it is only just the 3. You don't need any attachments to them.
That's true. So Standard, a little bit less implications. But in Limited, this means that these are hard to cast. Like, this isn't easy if you're trying to play more than one color.
No, there will be monocolor drafts. This is happening. Like, it's not going to be something that you can't ignore these kind of cards, especially when we're doing just Dominaria style drafts.
Remember Leatherback Bailoff?
I do.
I do.
Worldway?
I do love
Just saying.
I really like Crows and Tusker, actually. And what I thought about this when I saw this is Crows and Tusker with a rocket launcher, actually. Like, the guy he's coming at you like a bus.
You remember Wooly Throcktar?
I love Wooly Throcktar. I love him. He's so perfect.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty alright. But we want to talk about the fact that this is a guy in a green monster shell in a format where you can still very easily go white, and that whole deck doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. We've been over this green deck.
I know we keep coming back to it, but we have to recognize that this guy is actually the card that makes that deck viable. Like, you do still have access to Carnage Tyrant, but this guy is a 5/4 on triple green with a Llanowar Elf in the format. This is not something to laugh at. This is something that is a real threat.
This guy is probably the reason why I won't be playing Abzan tokens.
Whoops.
Now, to give credit where it is due, there is still Ixalan's Binding. There's still plenty of other removal choices to handle him, but it's having them when you need them.
Yeah. Also, you just named one that's on 4, and this is on 3.
Right. Like, it's having them when you need them. Even if Ixalan's Binding is on 4 in the follow-up turn, I cannot stress that you have to have it when you need it.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of card that demands a threat that pulls attention away from Verdurous Gearhulk, Carnage Tyrant. Again, all of these green cards we've already talked about. This is a real card to be worried about. More so than the unknown black card, which is probably a flying 2/2. It's a Spectre. It's going to be a 3-cast Spectre. Because that's what black has as marquee creatures. Zombies, Spectres, Ghouls, and Ghosts. Like, that is it. And Vampires. And we're probably not going to get another Vampire right away unless they really want to make the Ixalan Vampires go even crazier. Because I'm going to go off of the assumption that the rest of these 3 casts are rares. Given that all of them do something pretty good.
Alright, so the next kind of set of cards is the new mechanic that we have called Sagas. And here's one of my favorite Sagas. Because it, on its surface, doesn't look like much, and then you start delving into the other cards that could be built around it, and then you realize that this is a problem. Mm-hmm. It is a 2-drop enchantment. All the Sagas are enchantments. They say, as this Saga enters the battlefield, and after your draw step, add a lore counter to blah blah blah. Sacrifice the enchantment after 3. Mm-hmm. And the way it's templated, you'll see it. I'll try to put a picture of this one specifically up on there. It's called Flame of Keld.
Oh, we have the art for it now.
We do. It is an actual picture.
This Saga, I actually like the way this one looks. I don't like the way Phyrexian Scriptures looks because it feels too small and I want to see more of it. But
so, for a lot of you, you will realize that these I don't want to say a lot. Not a lot of people played back then.
No.
For some of you, very entrenched players, the Saga arts are based off of other arts from Dominaria. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a Phyrexian altar art that is based off of a Dark Ritual art.
Yeah.
This one, I believe, is based off of a Goblin art.
This one looks a lot better than the Phyrexian Scriptures art.
Yeah, it does.
I was very upset with the Phyrexian Scriptures art, and I'm much happier for future Sagas now after seeing this one.
So, the Flame of Keld says... Its first part is, when it enters the battlefield, discard your hand. Mm-hmm. That's its first Saga counter.
Yeah.
The second one is draw 2 cards. So, after your draw step on the next turn, you will draw 2 cards.
Back to 3.
So, it'll be back to 3. You'll have some cards in your hand. The third one says, if a red source would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2. Mm-hmm. Which is a problem.
I wonder if we're on the same wavelength. Go on.
Is it prowess?
So...
Alright.
I'm happy again.
So...
I've got another refill.
Yay! Unless you're me and it's 2 lands.
I'm going to say some cards that might have issues. Like Goblin War Chief. And Siege Gang Commander. And Goblin Chain Whirler.
I'm seeing a theme here.
You see how these are all red sources?
I am, actually. And I think we're on the same wavelength.
Jaya's Immolating Inferno. That's a red source.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of red sources. Rekindling Phoenix is a red source.
Mm-hmm.
These sagas are usually kind of double-sided. It comes with either a benefit and then a drawback.
Mm-hmm.
A boon and then a whatever the opposite of boon is.
A bane?
Yeah, there you go. So the bane in this one is on its first step, you discard your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Which if it's the last card in your hand, that's fine. And then it gets better later.
Mm-hmm.
There is another one that I wanted to talk about, which is white, which says something that hasn't been said in a long time in Magic. It is a saga called... Ooh, where'd it go? There's a lot of white
Fall
sagas.
of Thrawn, right?
The Fall of Thrawn. This one is 1, destroy all lands.
Boy,
it's a 6-drop. When it enters, destroy all lands.
You know, just in case we want to play Standard Armageddon again, that's fine, though.
Yeah. And then the 2 and 3 are both the same thing, so the next 2 times this procs, each player returns 2 lands from their graveyard to the battlefield. It doesn't say tapped.
No, it doesn't.
So, you drop this and you destroy all of the lands on the battlefield, and your opponent untaps with no lands.
Mm-hmm.
Then on your next turn, after you draw a step, each player gets to put 2 back.
Okay.
So you get your turn with 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get their turn with 3. And then you get your turn with 5, and then their turn with 5.
This also isn't taking into account the fact that you may also be drawing lands and getting additional land plays off of them. Also, there's ramp in the format.
Yeah.
Can't ignore that.
There is ramp in the format.
Cannot stress that enough.
The guy that has Llanowar Elf.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cannot stress that enough. At all.
You can ramp this out on turn 4.
Easy.
With green. And
Easy.
And still...
It's easy.
Yeah, still be able to play it. Because
Yep.
you have 2 mana dorks.
Yep. Well, I would like to talk about a card that Penner and I have been losing our mind over. And I don't know if you've been losing your mind over it yet, Philip, but I am losing my mind over Lich's Mastery.
Lich's Mastery.
So Lich's Mastery reminds me a lot of of Immortal Coil. But before we get into Immortal Coil, let's go over Lich's Mastery. So Lich's Mastery is a legendary enchantment for 3 and triple black. It has hexproof itself. So once it's there, it's there. That's it. And the first line after its keyword, which is very important, is you can't lose the game. Whenever you...
Platinum Angel?
Yep. Whenever you gain life, you draw that many cards. And whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. When Lich's Mastery leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. So
when you lose life, you could end up having to exile it.
That's correct. So you're putting yourself on a clock. And this, I believe, is... I love this card. Because this card is the quintessential black card. This is the card that says, in exchange for absolute power, I'm going to put everything on the line, and I'm going to win. Now, the reason this card is super fun is because it reminds me a lot of a card called Immortal Coil. Immortal Coil is a 2 and 2 black artifact that had tap, remove 2 cards from your graveyard, draw a card. If damage would be dealt to you, prevent that damage. Remove a card from your graveyard from the game every time you take, for every point of damage you took. When there are no cards in your graveyard, you lose.
Ouch.
So, and I loved that. And the reason I love that mostly is because of a goblin that you could give to somebody on turn 2. So you play Immortal Coil, you ramp it out on turn 4, and then you play Goblin Trader or Goblin Bazaar. And then you give them Immortal Coil and they lose. You don't kill any of their stuff. Ever. And they just lose. And if that doesn't work, you Tormod's Crypt them, so they lose.
This card to me is super black.
Uh-huh.
Black mana. And I will do anything to gain power and to
This
to
is
win.
This is
And-
like an anime villain,
I mean,
almost.
It also reminds me of Damnable Pact.
Actually, yeah. Demonic Pact?
Demonic Pact, not Damnable Pact.
Well, Damnable Pact is also pretty good, but not quite. Yeah, Demonic Pact, honestly, was my favorite card in Origins as well. Like, from a not spike standpoint, because you'll get Demonic Pact, and much like this, that is a black card where you go, I'm going to do everything I can to win right now.
Demonic Pact was, I have 3 turns to win, or else.
There was nothing else.
I lose.
There was nothing else you could do. It was, I have to win. Right. This is your anime power-up, and if you lose, you die.
I just went 3rd gear, and if I don't kill the motherfucker, I'm gonna pass out and be incapacitated.
And then I will not be able to save my Nakama. So, Lich's Mastery, hands down, is a card that I don't think might be played. I don't think it's going to be played in Standard, just because 3 triple black, there's many other things I'd want to play, like Noxious Gear Hulk on 5. Or no, Noxious Gear Hulk is 6, I believe.
This is 6.
I'd rather play Noxious Gear Hulk and give myself a little bit more of an advantage with a Menace. I would prefer, honestly, to play anything else on 6, because this itself doesn't win me the game. It just says I can't lose yet. So... And
this doesn't seem so bad in a format where we've seen... Oh, what is the name of the stupid horse?
Suncrest Mare.
Suncrest Mare, where when you gain life, you get that many horses. And all other horses have indestructible.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have fodder for Lich's Mastery. For when you start taking damage, which you probably won't because you'll have a million freaking horses.
And each of them have a lifelink, or at least the main horse, I believe, has a lifelink, correct?
Yes. Well, the main one has lifelink.
So you'll be drawing 5 cards off of that, getting a new horse.
Yes.
So you'll have cards to discard in the event they somehow hit you with a bunch of other creatures to get around your stallion army.
I think Lich's Mastery as a 6-drop is a perfect addition to the deck that wants to run the 5-drops Crested Sunmare, because it furthers the synergy and just it gives you plenty of fodder for Lich's Mastery. You're going to have a really hard time getting to the point where you're just going to lose all of your permanents.
Do you think that Lich's Mastery could be useful in the go-wide vampire strategy that Ixalan seems to be promoting? Only because I need to look at the other one. Whenever you lose life. So maybe not, but the rate at which you gain life is pretty rapid in that deck. Because when you use their abilities that cost life, you also have to eat cards in your hand or your graveyard. So maybe not.
Or permanent.
Right. So you eat your 1/1 lifelink token.
I don't like it because I think that Argyle's Bloodfast is still such an important card to that deck. That is it pay 2 and 2 life or just 2 life? I don't remember.
I believe it's pay 2 and 2 life.
And 2 life, and then draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the major card draw mechanics in that deck. I just don't think that you're in a Nambo status.
Like, yay, I did it. Wait, no.
You pay 2 life, and one of the cards you exile is Argyle's Bloodfast.
Yeah, and when you're already... Okay, so hold on. So what if... And I know I'm really trying to force an archetype here when I say this, but what if you go through your Argyle's Bloodfast, you get your flip, you do all your cool stuff, right? And then you play Lich's Mastery later in the game when you already have your go wide ready to go. I know this isn't a card that you would play out the gate, like, bam, turn 6, Lich's Mastery, wait, crap.
You said you flipped Argyle's Bloodfast?
Yeah, if you flipped it, then you're set, right?
No, you're dead to a lot of burn.
Oh, God. Well, no, you wouldn't be, because you don't lose life after that. You have to remove cards from your hand, graveyard, or field, instead of losing when you lose life. Every time you gain, you draw that many cards. So your life loss stops because it's replaced.
You sack and then you... Oh, actually, wow. Hold on.
You would have
flip Argyle's Bloodfast. You've got an army of blockers, potentially.
Yeah.
And then you start gaining life because you're sacrificing creatures, which draws you cards.
Yeah, and you draw cards instead. So you're stuck at 5.
You're not stuck at 5 because
it's
Argyle's
replaced.
Bloodfast flipped gains you life.
No, it doesn't do that. If you have 5 or less life, you may transform Argyle's Bloodfast at the beginning of your upkeep, and then it gives you a land that taps for black, or tap sack a dude, you gain life equal to the creature's toughness.
Yes, you gain life.
But you draw cards instead of gaining life from Witch's Mastery.
Is it instead?
Well,
No.
we are, as written with our reveal, our leaks, our spoilers, if you would, no. You don't do instead.
Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. It doesn't replace.
Okay, so
So
at the moment...
that's actually a really good combo. Yeah. You just have to also get your life down to 5 with a bunch of lifelink 1/1 vampires.
Which is fine. Easy. Piece of cake. So, would you say then, again, forcing the archetype, would you, somebody who plays a go-wide vampire deck...
Or is versed very well in
well-versed, well-versed in mid-range Orzhov in constructed play, would you play Lich's Master in your main board?
Absolutely. I also play Midnight Oil, so...
Now, Midnight Oil is super good. Like
Midnight Oil comboed with Lich's Mastery, because now you've lost a life and you've gotten rid of Midnight Oil when it's no longer useful. I'm actually really liking this.
All right. So have we sparked a new deck which is going to be like Mardu Lich, and you're just playing like...
Oh, I'm not even going to add red. It's not necessary.
Go wide vampires with Midnight Oil. Key to the City.
No, see, we already have this archetype that's building, which is Orzhov Legendaries.
Yeah.
That's currently building itself. It could end up being Esper Legendaries or Mardu Legendaries.
Right.
But it's already building itself. This is just a great way to work in Argyle's Bloodfast, some of those vampires, and add Lich's Mastery on top of it.
Okay. Because
now we have Argyle's Bloodfast and Midnight Oil as decent ways to draw cards.
Okay.
And combos that make them ridiculous when it stops being relevant. Because now, when you go to flip... When you have Lich's Mastery out, and you have Midnight Oil, because you hate your life, and you already have Argyle's Bloodfast out, yes. So you put yourself down so that you flip it.
Right.
So that you're flipping Argyle's Bloodfast. If you do the pay 2, you can get rid of both.
Right.
And you don't even have to worry about them. And you're gaining life from all of your life gain.
Yeah.
And you're just drawing cards now.
And you're just laughing the whole time you're doing it. So you're drawing pure gas. And if you ever actually take any damage, you just throw away the lands you don't need because you're going wide. And the best part about it is in exchange, you, when you lose life, for each one you've lost, you exile permanent you control or card from your hand. So what ends up happening here is you can run that legendary in which you pay 7 life and blow up a permanent for good. Vona. You play Vona. You throw away 7 lands you don't need because you only need like 6.
I know why it's Esper now.
Yeah?
Nezahal.
Interesting.
Because now you don't have to worry about your hand size.
Interesting.
Because if you play Nezahal after Midnight Oil,
yeah,
your maximum hand size
is maximum plus or minus whatever.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No, because the timing.
Right. It's like when you play Jin Kataxis while having a Reliquary Tower out. You have no maximum hand size minus 7. That doesn't... Yeah, you have no...
No, it's not even like that because... Yeah. Because Midnight Oil says your maximum head size is equal to the number of counters on it. But because of the way that timing works, not timing, what is the word?
Timestamps.
Timestamps works. If Nezahal comes in after Midnight Oil, it says you have no maximum hand size. They both modify your hand size.
It's just the most recent one.
The most recent one is the one that takes effect. So Nezahal after Midnight Oil makes you have no maximum hand size.
So
now you're drawing 2 cards on upkeep with Midnight Oil with no limitation.
Yes. And then every time they cast a non-creature spell, you get to draw a free card.
And anytime you gain life, you're drawing free cards.
So
because you have Lich's Master.
So what'll happen here is in this...
You're going to deck yourself.
Well, you can't lose! So what I'm hearing here is your opponent... Your games are going to go to time because your opponent either A, can't deal enough damage to go through your go-wide strategy, or your opponent is going to find a way to wrath away your enchantments, which I don't think is in constructed right now. Wait, yes, no, Urza's. Never mind, we went over this. And they can't hexproof it.
It's hexproof, so...
Right. So the only way you could free yourself from this curse is to Vona your own Witch's Mastery.
I do believe there is permanent bounce, which will get you.
River's Rebuke. River's Rebuke will get you in constructed play.
But this is still... They have to have River's Rebuke. And you're an Esper, and you've drilled on your entire deck. You've got a counterspell up.
And then you tick up Teferi.
I found Teferi's deck.
We found it. Teferi Lich Mastery.
Oh my goodness.
And while we're at it, we'll put Approach of the Second Sun in there too. Why not?
You're going to have 2 of them in 14 mana anyway.
So my favorite part about this scenario is we've gone from creating a reasonable question to clearly a deck that only exists in a TV show. Are we playing Esper Lich's Mastery or Esper Good Stuff?
We're playing Esper Believe in the Heart of the Cards.
Esper Pray. Eat, Love, Lich's Mastery.
I'm going to summon my Egyptian deity and draw the correct card off the top of my library.
Every time.
Every time.
Through the power of friendship. My grandfather's deck contains no pathetic cards. Fantastic. Alright. So... I think with that, I'm alright with Dominaria. This is my favorite marquee card of that, so we're gonna go ahead.
I remember over the last 3 weeks,
2
weeks, being like, I'm probably not gonna join in on it with you guys and try and buy a box of Dominaria 2. Then reading over the document before we had anybody compile the list and thinking, I want an entire case to myself.
Right. Man. So... Yeah, with this, I'm going to give Lich's Mastery a tentative 11 out of 10 just because of all of the flavor behind what it is. And if I pull this card in sealed, I'm going to windmill slam it every time.
And I think we just broke it.
Yeah, we've broken it. Clearly, we've broken it. I mean, there's no other way to... with this podcast test, I'd like to create a section called Break This Card. I'm going to present a card and we got to break it. But yeah, I'm alright with Dominaria as we stand with this, so we're going to take a break. See you after the break.
Alright, welcome back to Timmy, Johnny, and Spike. We had to take a small break because I wanted coffee. So we're going to talk about Masters 25 and our draft experiences. And I brought in a buddy of ours named Judd. He's here.
Hey guys.
Because he's the only other person in the room that's drafted Masters 25 other than me.
I knew better.
You were at work.
You were at work and Philip didn't want
to. To be fair, I had to work, but I knew I didn't want to draft it. And then after hearing you guys' experience 5 minutes into drafting,
so
I knew I didn't want to draft.
I want to grab something real quick here. Philip, when you said, how's the draft going? Brian literally says, don't say a word to him.
Because you knew my response would be, I told you so.
It wasn't even that. It's just like, oh boy. Because you sent that message after we'd already built our deck and started round 1. Oh my god.
So... to explain Masters 25 draft, I want to explain the other Modern Masters drafts that I've had fun with, like Modern Masters 1, 2, and 3. They all had themes, even Iconic Masters to a certain extent. Each set had like a draft theme and a lane that you got in, and it was fun to draft, and I drafted them like 2 or 3 times. Masters 25. There are no themes. Nothing makes sense.
Except for watermarks and overall history of Magic. Which is its actual theme, right?
Yeah, its theme is like the history of Magic. But as a draft set, it's super bad because there's no themes to draft around. You don't get, like, there's no tribal synergies. Even though there's, like, 2 dudes that buff tribes. I think.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Oh,
right? God, I remember seeing one. I'm like, this is fucking awful.
And that, actually, I feel is a bad sign of a set meant to be played in a limited format if you can't remember cards that might actually be important.
This set is so memorable.
But you can't remember it.
Oh, shoot.
Alright, so
what a memorable set.
I'm going to go over my draft, and then, Judd, you can go over yours.
I'll interject, too, because the whole time I'm drafting right next to him on the right.
Yeah,
our buddy's drafting on our left.
So we start drafting. I pull a Twilight Mire, which is the green-black filter.
Yeah.
And I first picked that because that's worth like $10. I'm like, okay, this paid for a pack. and let's see what I get past. And I get past a Niv Mizzet Firemind.
I think it's the right one now.
Yeah.
It's not Draco Genius.
Not Draco Genius. Niv Mizzet Firemind. I'm like, alright.
It's the first one, not the second one.
So I am going to immediately draft everything that says draw a card. So I then start drafting draw cards, like Accumulated Knowledge, which is draw a card and then draw a card for each card named Accumulated Knowledge in your graveyard. I get 4 of these.
Yep. Yep.
I get a couple Sifts, which is draw 3 cards, discard a card. I get a couple... Oh, fuck. The Morph one, that is, return 2 islands to your hand, draw 2 cards.
Did you get a Brainstorm? No.
I got 1 Brainstorm. I also got a couple cards which has my favorite name. Borrowing of 100,000 arrows.
I just want you to know that looking up Accumulated Knowledge broke my cheat sheet.
Good, I'm glad. So, most of my deck was draw spells and then morph creatures that also drew cards.
Yeah.
It was basically get to Niv Mizzet and hope I win that way.
Yep.
And I 3-0'd that draft.
And I did not. I 0-2 and 1'd that draft.
So you lost 2 and drew the other one?
Yes, but I didn't draw by time.
Let's hear about this draw.
So, where he was drafting all the draw cards because he got past him is that I opened a Summoner's pack in my first pack, which is not going to help me. And I passed it for a Boros Charm. And I was going to try to go red, white, weenies because there's a lot of good red cheap stuff like Whirling Outburst and Kindle and Lightning Bolt if you can miraculously find one in a pack because it's like Chase Uncommon.
Spike Shot Goblin.
Spike
that
Shot.
Too.
Skirt Commando.
Yeah.
Zada, Hedron Grinder, the uncommon.
Yeah,
Rare shifted
down. Calm me if I would have found one because gives my Spike Shot. If I got a Spike Shot, that plan stopped after my next card, which was Diabolic Edict, and I love that card even from Tempest. I absolutely adore that card. Because people don't expect to have to sacrifice their own creatures when they're indestructible or hexproof.
Every single time I've been Diabolic Edict, I don't know if this is true of everyone, but every time I've been hit with an Edict effect, my brain has a short. Like, I don't understand that I have to kill my own guy.
Yeah.
Then I don't choose.
So I take that, and I'm like, the black in this set is arguably really good by itself. You can
arguably the best color, yes.
Yeah, you can easily mono black pretty well with a side of red and side of white. So I'm Martin, because Boros Charm's really good.
If I may direct to some videos, there are new Matanami videos where he plays against mono black cards in these drafts and gets destroyed. Well, he wins most of them, but his... How do I put this? His morale gets destroyed by getting Phyrexian Obliterator.
Any confidence he ever had just goes out the window. He had watched him lose 10 life just to get rid of a turn 2 Phyrexian Obliterator.
I will go down and say... I will boldly say that I think black is the best color in this set by a landslide.
Yeah, unless you pull a Doomsday, and then you're like, what am I going to do with this?
Draw.
Yeah. So I proceed to pull out black cards because there's some good stuff in there. And one of our friends who's 2 seats away from me on the left, and this is on the second pack, which my second pack I opened was, I think, Laquatus' Champion. And I was like, alright, another one, but there's a better card in the pack, so I took that instead. I think it was Dark Ritual. I don't remember exactly. And there's no way to stack the effects, so it's just a 6-3 that's going to die, but it'll regenerate, I guess.
Yeah.
Moment of silence for regenerate again, I guess.
Anyways,
sound defeated.
Oh god, it's just remembering how frustrated. Like, the deck was solid. Could be solid because I'll explain that to you in a minute. He goes. Our friend says I would draft this. I said I would, but I'm not going to because his deck was in an entirely different direction because it was actually red, white weenies.
Yeah.
And it was a foil Triskaidekaphobia. So in this box, the foil rare was Triskaidekaphobia, and it passes to me. I'm like, I'll draft it, and I did. Mind you, I was full in black. Most of my deck was black. I also started pulling Relentless Rats. I had only 3. I only saw 4, so I missed 1. And so I had a bunch of removal in black, some removal in red, a couple white removal at the end of this. and a second triskaidekaphobia. Because what's better than one? Two.
The fear
It's so
of double
beautiful.
13.
Yep.
It's so beautiful.
I was like,
The
I
fear
will.
of 26, as it were.
Yeah, the whole 26.
You know what's crazy to interject? If you play 2 triskaidekaphobias, they don't do anything. They're stuck either going down 2 or gaining 1, losing 1.
That's right.
No, because one would resolve before the other. So you can plus
Yeah.
them into 13 and then have them lose.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Stack it.
Oh, man.
So, my thought process.
Oh, man.
I also, and Penner can attest, he put a card when passing the left on the top of the stack and knew I would take it. And what card was that?
That was Savannah Lions.
That card's great. I took like 2 Savannah Lions because other people were taking them. Good old 2 1s for 1.
What are your opinions on Savannah Lion?
I think they're mediocre at best.
Yeah, I love to smash him on turn 2 with a 2 1 for 1.
So other notable cards in my blue-red deck were Counterspell, Brainstorm, Arcane Denial, Exclude, and a couple other counterspells.
To preface this, every round he went and played, every match, almost went to rounds. And everyone else was done within 15, 20 minutes.
The only round that didn't go to rounds was match 3, where I just destroyed the guy.
Yeah, and
Because he was playing Esper Control and
who was your last round?
Beeler.
He was playing Let Me Get Out My Protean Hole
Oh,
and
right,
drop
right.
all my
He
creatures.
was playing Mono Rare Draft. I forgot.
Which I played in game 2, and the problem was I could have beat him with Triskaidekaphobia, but he dropped a Protean Hulk a turn too early and had to get rid of it, and it was too late. As I also drafted a Chupacabra, because who doesn't want a Chupacabra in a set that just came out?
Did he flash Protean Hulk you? Or...
No, he already had it on the field.
Okay.
And
Which is already a
I needed
6/6.
I had to have a blocker because I needed 2 turns to get him with Triskaidekaphobia. I needed a blocker. Problem is, it's target and there's only other creature out and you have to destroy with.
So we talked about how you got the deck. We didn't talk about the draw that you had.
Yeah, where you went 0-0.
I figured we'd get there. So game 3, I play against a guy who is playing all the Genju land enchantments that make lands creatures.
Oh, good.
I was like, what? Because this is not even...
Hold up, he awakened you?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's weirder awakened because it's like Rancor awakened. Because you destroy the land,
Yeah?
that enchantment comes back to your hand.
Okay, so he just played 40 lands and Genjus.
Well, I also had 2 Ravages of War.
Yeah?
I really wanted to go on the Land Destroy plan just to make everyone hate themselves. But it didn't work out. Because I only got 2. Which
Going
made
to
me sad.
time.
So, game 1, I dropped all 3 of my Ravenous, my Rats.
Relentless.
Ravenous, that's a different one. And, drop all 3, and I hit him for 12 and 2, or I hit him for 24 in 2 turns. Mm-hmm. He had no answer for them. Game 2, I took him to 3, and then he had a 3/2 flyer that I couldn't deal with because I had no flying removal. Because even though I had murder and I like just any kind of spot removal, I could not draw it. And then
Something similar to a Necrotal.
yes, something similar to
Necrotal Chupacabra.
Yeah, a 2/2 Necrotal that doesn't have first strike, and it's not 2/1, and it's not as good.
It's a lot of bullet points.
It's good at the time. Then game 3, I dropped Triskaidekaphobia, and we spend a good 10 minutes flirting the line of I'm at 15 life, you're at 18 to 17. I keep gaining life because I had a Zulaport Cutthroat. So no matter what, if you killed my stuff, I was gaining life. And it was just this balance of whatever. And finally, I got him to 12, and on his turn, passes, and he hit me to 12, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to play this anymore. And I ticked up on Triskaidekaphobia. We both hit 13. We go to a drop. And I yell to the guy that's running the shop. I'm like, hey, it's a 1-1 draw. 1-1-1. And he goes, what? Just, what? And I told him, he's like, oh, okay. Great.
Sure thing.
It's like, really? Why? That was his whole, like,
So
Oh.
he said what? And then his other thing was, it's not time yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know. It's a draw.
I immediately told he knows the rules because he's a shop owner. He's played Magic long enough, and I immediately told him we both are at 13 live with Triskaidekaphobia. Went to a draw, and he's just dumbstruck.
He's just upset, very clearly annoyed that he now has to go to the whir and
not that
put
it matters.
111 in
We
there.
weren't playing for anything but pizza and really
Yeah,
tokens.
so one of our the local game shop we go to did a cool thing where they ran a draft at MSRP. So Masters packs are $10. So he said $30 for a draft. I'll buy everyone pizza, and you all get top 2 get promos.
Okay. Neat.
Which, if the promos were good, would mean something.
But instead, I have a foil. What is it? Foil illusion that I got off Penner here.
Yeah.
To go with the foil Jace that makes illusions.
It was either a foil City's Blessing token, which the backside is the Phoenix token for Rekindling Phoenix,
That's dope.
which I already have like 3 of
Oh, well.
for question drafts every Friday.
Yeah.
Or a foil Merfolk, Pirate, or Dinosaur, and all 3 of those have a treasure on the back.
Or the illusion.
Or the Illusion, which has the... Oh, God, what is it?
It's in here somewhere.
Worm?
No, it's from Rivals. Unless a Rivals card makes a worm.
It does not.
Saproling. It's a
Sapling.
saproling.
It is!
It's a saproling.
For Overgrowth, or for Tender Shoot Dryad, and Overgrowth Armasaur.
Perfect.
No one ever uses. That's all I needed.
Perfect. Alright. Alright, I'm into it.
That took a while.
Oh, I have some of my rares from the packs. I opened.
that-
Decree of Justice.
Decree of Justice, good.
And is it chemistry?
It's all is forgiven for taking time to remember cards and whatnot. It's pretty late.
Yeah.
So
It's like, what, almost one?
just
It is one,
One.
actually.
A...
Did it?
Alright. So, from taking away from what we got drafting Masters 25, there are a couple cheeky infinite combos. Like, the one that I like the best is Retraction Helix and Horseshoe Crab. Retraction Helix is a 1-drop instant. Target creature gains tap, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Horseshoe Crab is a 1/3 for 2 that says pay a blue, untap it. So you pay a blue, give it, tap, bounce target thing, pay a blue, untap it. Speed bounce their entire board.
So they just sit there with a wad full of cards in their hand and wonder what exactly they're doing here playing Masters 25, losing to an 05 crap.
Losing to a 1/3
1/3.
crab.
It's a 1/3.
Is it 1-3?
You
It's
have,
a 1/3.
You have a 20-turn clock.
Ah, excellent.
There's, along with that, there's the Niv Mizzet combo that I wanted to see and never got to.
You never got a curiosity.
There's also Curiosity in the set.
Yes.
Niv Mizzet says whenever you draw a card, deal damage to target creature or player. And Curiosity says whenever enchanted creature deals damage, draw a card. The key is that Curiosity does not say combat damage. So you draw a card at your draw step, ping something with Niv Mizzet, draw a card with Curiosity, ping something with Niv Mizzet, and
Right.
continue this until they're dead.
Correct.
There's a card from, I want to say, Antiquities or some bullshit set like that. It's like Quicksilver Inlaid Dagger.
That's not from Antiquities.
It's from something.
It's from Invasion.
Invasion?
I don't know.
It's an aura. It's a red and a blue. Enchanted creature has tap, draw a card, to deal 1 damage to target creature or player.
Yeah, there's
You
two
put that on
different
Horseshoe Crab?
there's 2 different Ophidian Eye style effects in this
Oh,
format.
I was wrong. Apocalypse.
Apocalypse? Whatever, old set.
Red, blue.
Sure.
I was close because Invasion and Apocalypse didn't
You
say
know,
so.
they added Curiosity, but they didn't put in Ophidian Eye, which is the first of those Curiosity style effects.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we could go hours on what they should have put in.
We've done this.
Yes, we did already.
I listened to it. Rhystic Study. Would have been better than Plague Wind.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The
So,
point is, there's a lot of stuff you can put on Horseshoe Crab.
Horseshoe Crab MVP.
Yeah, so Horseshoe Crab's a combo piece.
Okay.
There is another combo piece that is escaping me.
Uh-huh.
It's a sacrifice mechanic where... Oh, no, it's the Cloud Shift. Cloud Shift is in this set.
Yeah, it is.
And there's also a Nantuko Husk type, which is mono black and basically Nantuko Husk. And then there's Fallen Angel, which is basically flying Nantuko Husk.
Correct.
So there's a thing called a Nightmare Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Which you can do with a couple cards in this set, like Fiend Hunter. Play Fiend Hunter, Cloud Shift Fiend Hunter, exile that, and that never comes back.
Oh man, what an awful time. No.
So, for those of you wondering what Nightmare Effect...
Too.
Huh?
No,
Mesmeric Fiend is the other one I was thinking of.
Take away their
No.
So, Fiend Hunter says, when Fiend Hunter enters the battlefield, exile target permanent. Or exile target creature.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when Fiend Hunter leaves the battlefield, return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control. The Nightmare Effect is that because these are separate clauses, they hit the stack at separate times.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When you flicker Fiend Hunter, as the enter the battlefield trigger is on the stack, the leaves the battlefield trigger enters the stack.
Directly on top of the enters.
And then it comes back, putting a separate enter the battlefield trigger on the stack.
Yep.
So, you exile a creature when it comes back. Then the creature that was exiled first would come back to the field, but it's not exiled yet, so it doesn't. And then you exile the first creature targeted.
So one creature's gone for good. The second one is now stuck under Fiend Hunter.
You can do that with a sack outlet in white-black, or in mono-white, and whatever else you want to fucking sprinkle in here. Peel from Reality, fuck it. That's in this set, too.
Sure.
You can flicker your Fiend Hunter and exile things permanently. You can also do it with Mesmeric Fiend.
But that takes away from hand.
Yeah, that's
So
exile a
you
card
just
from their
destroy
hand.
Okay.
So you can Nightmare Effect their hand to exile all the cards from it.
Yup.
Assuming you get all of the pieces of Exodia and are able to actually do 7 cards.
You don't need to. You can flicker Mana War and do it constantly.
Manowar's in this set?
Mana War's in the
Yep,
set.
Mana War's here.
You can get a Strionic Resonator too.
You can also get a Strionic Resonator.
They're fantastic. Oh, you pulled a Sundering Titan in your packs.
I did get a Sundering Titan. I can't play it.
I love that card.
So,
How do you Mana War him?
you flicker Mana War. You play him while he's on the stack, flicker Mana War, bounce him back, and then you can play him again.
Okay. Alright, fair enough. That works.
That's, I played a lot of Mana Wars just to stop people from pacifying my things.
Pacified, no.
Pacify. Alright, I'll bounce it back to my hand. Play it again.
Oh, I dropped the Slinky.
Not this thing.
So, I have a question. So you guys have your own individual experiences with Masters 25, which ranges from I drew a game with Triskaidekaphobia to I never got my combo.
I forgot. I also got someone to scoop because of Triskaidekaphobia because he would not read the card properly. And I told him, after the first time he didn't read the card, that you have to be at 13 life at the beginning for the resolution to happen or you lose or gain life. And that's how it works. At 12 life, he scooped and could have killed me, but he thought he was going to die. And I'm like, you scooped, I can't stop that. We can't reverse. There's nothing. I mean, that was it. And I got a round off it. So I got one round off it in match 1. And I drew in match 3 because of it.
Yeah.
Good old Triskaidekaphobia.
I 3-0'd and didn't have... that's a lie. I had a lot of fun because I played only draw spells and went to time because I drew my entire deck every game.
Yeah. Mind you, I wasn't really trying after. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try and get a Triskaidekaphobia win.
I, in fact, lost a game in round 2 because I drew my deck out and he killed the Niv Mizzet, and I was upset.
They always killed your Niv Mizzet.
Yeah, they never let it stay. I don't know why.
I have a few
That's
ideas.
a lie, I know why.
I have a few ideas.
Yeah.
So, while I had fun, that was because I forced a deck archetype around a single rare and only picked spells that said draw a card.
So then the question I have is, so you guys have your own, like I said, your own individual experiences. What was your feeling like around the local game store you were playing? Like, did most people seem excited, or were they just as...
Oh, no, they
God,
hated it.
no.
No one was having fun except for me.
No, I knew you weren't even really having fun. You were having artificial fun trying to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Because you bought mine because you owed me. You spent...
I bought Kyle's, and
Kyle's.
He's paying me back on Friday.
Yeah, and
So
then
you drafted for $90?
Yeah, plus you got... How many packs did you get? You got...
Your 3 and my 3.
more, yeah. Yeah, so
I spent $150 on Masters 25 for 3 drafts and 6 packs. And of that, I got 2 lands that are worth about $10.
That's exactly how much you said you would spend on a draft.
Yeah.
$150.
You didn't lie.
You did it.
Well, he didn't draft the $150 though.
No, but he said he'd spend $150 drafting. He
I
did
mean,
it.
Alright, yeah.
He
In
didn't lie.
one night.
He did
Yeah,
not.
because I only was going to draft it once. And in order to get a nice draft pot, I bought 2 other people in.
So the general consensus is most people were disappointed with the event.
Yes, absolutely. You forgot to mention what your you pulled a mythic in the draft.
Oh, and I passed it.
Yeah, because it's bad.
It was Tree of Redemption.
You got a Tree Redemption.
I passed a Tree of Redemption.
After talking about Tree of Redemption last episode for so long about why is it here, the fact that it ended up in a pool makes me so happy.
In a pool with 2 triskaidekaphobias so you could kill yourself.
So the thing I love about Tree of Redemption is that stores actually have no tree guarantees where they would buy the pack back from you if you ripped one.
Really?
There were stores.
There were stores out there with no tree guarantees.
We did not have that guarantee. He was like, no, they're stupid. Which, yeah, those stores were stupid.
His argument for it is that that's stupid, and before the reprint, Tree of Redemption was $4.50. So,
and honestly, I wouldn't have bought. I wouldn't have done it either because you are playing the lottery.
yeah.
And here's your wah. Yeah.
So
I think you got an Acroma, didn't you get an Acroma?
well, I mean, why would you want to kill yourself though? You could kill them with that, right?
No,
No,
it's make your life 13.
Oh, good. You can see yourself. Oh, Tree of Perdition
Yeah, which is not in the set, which
would have been much
the
better.
owner of the store thought was at one point.
He thought that they were both in the set.
Oh, I wish they
And
were.
thought that that's why it was, like, thematic.
That would have been so much
But
better.
no, it's only the green one. Instead, the black rare from the set that he was thinking of is Triskaidekaphobia. So you can't kill them, but you can kill yourself.
If you want to get a quick out,
It also
Make
would
my
have
life 13. Bye, fuckers.
it also would have been
Scoop.
like a 2 rares from Shadows because Tree Perdition's in Eldritch Moon
Yeah.
and Trisk's in Shadows. So
Yeah.
it's like, what?
Whatever. Point is, I pulled a Tree of Redemption and quickly passed it in lieu of a Brainstorm.
well, good call. Good call.
My first pack was Twilight Mire, and my second pack I also passed because it was another Thief of Fortune. Fortune Thief. It was another Fortune Thief.
So you took it, right?
No, I let it go. Why would I want one?
Because you can make sure your life stays at 1 twice.
Why would I ever let my opponent play Magic?
Why?
Fair.
All right, you got me.
I'm drafting blue.
All right, fair. All right, cool. You're speaking my language.
He plays the Azores.
So, point is, I would not spend the $30 on Modern Masters Draft if you were worried about money or getting any value. You're going to get roughly $2 of value from that draft.
All right, so new opinion is no.
Just draft more
Yeah.
rivals.
Draft
Just
more
draft
rivals.
rivals. It's
Honestly,
better.
Rivals is more fun because you can play 5-color control.
I honestly would rather draft Iconic Masters. And me and Fenrir had an argument over some chat formatter together one day, and realistically, a better set would have been to put Iconic Masters and Masters 25 together and made it one set.
And take out all the bullshit.
Yeah, leave some of the bullshit because you have to because it's
Yeah.
Wizards. But yeah, definitely take out a lot.
Alright. So, I think that's it for our Masters 25 bit. Now that we've drafted it.
God,
It is,
still awful.
God, mediocre at best, and don't waste your money. Buy singles.
Yeah.
Buy singles, folks.
I mean, Rashad Port's down to $20. 28 today.
28 today. Yeah.
All of the filter lands are down below 10.
Recruiter is
I'm
40.
just waiting. It's almost to $750. I'm buying it at $60 playset.
So, I mean, the only card in there is a Chase
is
walkers
Jace.
that's been printed 4 times now,
It's fine.
and it's $100 just because of the modern unbanning.
Welcome
Yeah.
to MTG Finance, a podcast in a podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, I pay attention to these things because I spent way too much money today on Magic cards.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, so don't draft Masters 25.
Don't.
It's not a
Don't.
fun time.
It's not
Um,
fun.
It's fun if you
Until
don't, if you have
something,
a large disposable income and don't care about making money off of it.
But at
I'm
that
just trying
point,
to hold
just,
that I told you so back.
at that point, just buy really expensive cards and rip them in front of people because you really upset them.
That's true. Yeah, I think that's it for our podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. We had a lot of fun talking about Dominaria and our disappointment of Masters 25.
At least there's watermarks.
At least those watermarks. The
I have
foils look cool, I
I have
guess.
a cool foil Triskaidekaphobia.
It's
watermark.
okay.
The
We
most
figured
important, the most important thing of the draft. The Niv Mizzet they printed has the original flavor text on it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing you need to know about this Masters set. And if that's the most important thing, maybe that's not a good thing.
But
So-
at least we figured out how to break Lich's mastery.
We did figure that out.
It's going to be beautiful.
Liliana's brother.
I'm looking forward to
That
it.
story's great.
I'm looking forward to you breaking that in Standard.
He's not going to because he's going to die to team or energy.
That's true. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We will talk to you not next week because it's a bi-weekly podcast, but the week after that.
Yeah, maybe the original Timmy will be back.
Yeah, maybe Ben will be back.
Who knows? We'll
Who
see if
knows?
we play it by ear.
We'll see if he's done with his finals.
Or back in school and doing finals again.
Outro? You don't have an outro?
No.
All right, well, so we don't seem to have an outro. Philip told you so.
God damn it.